welcome to this Monday edition of Wasatch Weekends. Now it's April Fool's Day, April 1st, and nothing better than a good comedian for an April Fool's Day joke or two. Brandt Tobler, I got the chance to sit down and speak with him. He is a very funny dude. We love him here. As well as it's Reading for Fun Day, and we have Etta Extraordinaire, the author from Etta Extraordinaire. So we are definitely excited about all the laughs and all the reading that we're going to do today. Let's take a look at that weather, sit back, and it's about to start right now. Happy April Fools. Now, there is nothing better than a good and humorous, fun April Fool's joke. And Brandt Tobler is a comedian extraordinaire that I got to sit down and speak with. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Gretchen Pleshaw. Now, I love funny things. I don't think all comedians are real funny, but this one, I have to say, is really funny, legit funny. Brandt Tobler, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. That's so nice of you to say. And I agree with you. There's a lot of very unfunny
And I
comedians.
have to be nice because, I'm not a very funny human being, so I don't mean that rudely. It's just you either have it or you don't. And sometimes I feel nervous watching people like, oh no, this isn't going well. And you're legit funny. I really think you're funny.
Uh, Thank you. And
You're
I bet
so
you have
cool.
it. You probably have it. You just don't real. I mean,
Mm,
it's just natural. I think most of the time when people aren't funny, it's when they're trying too hard. So if you're just
totally.
being natural, that's when you get laughs. It's when you're really trying too hard, which is
Right. Not a good
mostly
thing.
dumb dudes.
Well, Brandt, I want to know all things about comedy. How did you get involved? How did this start? Have you always been funny? Did your friends tell you when you were little you were funny? How did it all happen?
I think I was always funny. When I was in junior high, I got class clown in the
Uh-huh.
yearbook. In school, I got class clown, but I grew up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and there's just no comedy in Wyoming. So I never dreamed of being a comedian. I just wanted to be like a high school PE teacher and a basketball
Cool.
coach. And then I went to college in Phoenix, and I wasn't very good at college. And one day my buddy said, "You should try being a comedian." I didn't know what to do, so I got a book actually at Barnes and Noble and I read it, and then I chickened out for 2 years. I was scared to do it because a couple times in life when I talked into a microphone, when I heard my voice amplified, it made my eyes water, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't be a crying comedian." So then I chickened out for like 2 years, and eventually talked about doing it so much that my friends were like, just do it. So I had a couple adult beverages and I had
Yeah.
like 10 friends there. And luckily the first time went really good. And then I was hooked. After that first time, I was like, this is what I want to do forever. And now 20 years later,
So
it's
cool.
wild to say it's my job.
So Brandt, was this like, did you get the book Comedy for Dummies? Like one of those books?
Yeah, it was something like that. I can't remember what it was. It was just there was only like one book and I just bought it and then I read it and again I think I did so well my first time because I chickened out so many times. So I was
Right.
actually really prepared. I think a lot of times most people do bad because they're not prepared or they're cocky. A lot of times people
Totally.
think it's going to be easy and it gets easy over time. It's like anything else, it takes reps, but the first couple times
Yeah.
you're just scared.
Do you feel so honored and just kind of great, and not to sound cheesy, but grateful that you get to do something that you really genuinely love and you get paid for it? That has to feel really good.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And it's like as a kid, when you're in high school, I remember my high school guidance counselor saying, if you do something you love, you'll never work a day of your life. And
Yeah.
I thought that was like the dumbest thing in the world. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the job. But I have a show tonight and I'm looking forward to it. It never feels like work.
Yeah.
The work is like the travel. You know,
Right.
the that's the only hard part is the road is lonely and renting cars and airports and hotels and it's
And then,
like I'm like a football. I heard a football player once like say you pay me for Monday through Saturday. I do Sundays for free, and that's kind of I do the shows for free. You pay me for all the travel and ruined
right.
relationships and bad stuff that goes along with being a comedian.
I know this is probably a very simplistic and a question you've gotten a lot, but I am genuinely interested. Who is a comedian that like you really look up to, or who is kind of the person, the human being that you've wanted to not be like, because you're your own brand, you're you, but that you really think is funny?
You know, my favorite comedian, the first comedian I fell in love with was Mitch Hedberg,
Yeah,
and he was my favorite. I'd watch him on Letterman, and then now I have so many favorites. And another thing, I'm so lucky to be at Comedy Works in Denver because they
yeah,
bring in the best comedians in the world, and it's another thing that's unique in comedy. They always say you don't want to meet your heroes, but in comedy, it's been the exact opposite. Like the bigger the comedian I've met, the cooler they are because they could relate to whatever point I was at in my career. So
hmm,
anyone from Dave Chappelle to Brian Regan to any great comedian, it's weird. Like once they know you're a comedian, then everything changes. That's the same thing with me after a show. Someone's like, "Hey, good job." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And they're like, "I'm a comedian." I go, "Oh, well, wait over here. I want to talk to you once all the
dope.
regular people leave." So we're
Yeah,
just drawn to each other. So
all those boring human beings.
yeah, I'm so fortunate that like the bigger comedians have always been, people are always like, what comedians are jerks? I'm like, you
I,
wouldn't even know. It's the
yeah,
bitter guys that didn't make it.
totally.
The best comedians are always very generous with their time and
Hmm.
again, I think they just see, I'm at that point now. I've been doing it so long. When I get to talk to a young comic,
Yeah,
I love it because I'm like, oh, I remember when I drove to Boise,
totally.
Idaho, and slept in my car or whatever.
A hundred
That's what's
percent.
really cool. Yeah.
Well, and you have that vibe. I think when you're really excelling in what you're doing and you are a well known comedian now, which is so great, you want other people to do well. It's not like you're one of those people that's like, oh, it's just for me. You want to share that love, which is
Yeah, once you figure it out that it's not a competition, you're just on your own
totally,
path. That's the only thing where kind of people get caught up in comedy is worrying about what other people are doing. But you
totally.
should just root for everybody, like if I don't get a show up in Vale, I shouldn't be mad at I didn't get it. I should root for whoever got it, so
Right.
they'll continue doing shows in Vale, and then I'll get my chance. So, but it took. I mean, it's easy to say that now, but it took me a while
To
in the
get there.
beginning
No, I
because
feel you.
you
Well,
get. I'm sure it's like your world. You
totally.
there's jobs you really want, but there's only a certain amount of jobs, so you get bummed out sometimes when you don't get something. But I've learned to root for my peers to do good because then people will keep hiring
It's
comedians.
true.
So
Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's very true. So this is super random, but I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio, Oakwood, and Beth Stelling. I don't know if you know the comedian.
of course.
Okay, so she's from my high school. I was best friends with her sister. So Beth and I
Oh,
go way
really?
back. She just played or just did her gig at Comedy Works, and she had tickets for me, and we got a snowstorm, so I couldn't come down. I was so bummed,
Oh,
but yeah, so that's
I think
kind of
I, I
neat.
think I took those tickets because I went and watched her every night. I'm a big fan. I love. I secretly have a crush on her. I don't know if I should say that, but I just think
Yes,
she is
she's
so funny and
yes.
she is
I'm
so
gonna tell her.
sweet. And she was so good to the staff, and again, she's just like. And I've seen her come through Comedy Works over the past 5 years that I've been in Denver, and
Yeah,
to see her go from selling 150 tickets to now selling out, and
it's
she's
wild,
just
right?
again, she's just an awesome person to root for. But it's funny, I've done a few shows in old Dayton, Ohio.
Ah, you have.
One of my coolest comedy moments was Dayton, Ohio, because Chappelle came. I got to hang out with Chappelle
Oh my
since he
God.
lives right there, and just again, I've had some interesting in nights
Dayton.
in Ohio.
I tell people I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and they're like, "Excuse me, Daytona, Florida," and I'm like, "Dayton, Ohio. That's
No,
where."
I love Dayton, Ohio. And we don't have time, but my favorite bar is in Dayton, Ohio.
I've probably been there. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
I'm sure you have.
So, Brant, what are you like? What are you the most stoked for in this upcoming new year, 2024, to do?
Oh man, I have a special that's going to come out on YouTube next week, and
Cool.
I wrote one book. I'm very bad at promotion, but I wrote a book that I'm
Oh, no
very proud of.
way.
But
I'll buy it.
I'm, wor-
Yes.
I'm working on a second book that I hope to have out by the end of the year. So I you just keep going. it's a weird world of, I could put out a clip that could change my life. It
Totally.
could change my life in either way tomorrow. I could put out something and get canceled, or I could put out something, but I don't know. You don't, it's a generic thing to say, but you don't really do this for the money because,
Right.
especially starting out, you just don't make any money. So I just like to keep going. And I mean, yeah, I just to do more, to do shows. And I've been fortunate to go like overseas and perform with the troops. And I'm
Oh,
doing a
that's
big show in
cool.
my hometown in Cheyenne, Wyoming at the end of April. And so coming home is always special. And, it's, again, not to be generic and cliche, but it's always fun because like I don't know what's going to happen tonight.
Totally.
Every show's different, so it
It
keeps you
keeps
on
you
your
on your
toes.
toes.
So
Oh, hey, that's what I, great minds
yeah,
think alike. No, dude, I love that. And I love that you're such a sweet man. You can tell you have such a good heart and you're so funny on stage. It's
thank
like,
you. You're
yeah.
too nice to me.
No, I'm not too nice. I'm honest. I know funny, I think, at this point.
Thank you.
Well, we can't wait to see you. We definitely need to get you booked more up in these areas
Yeah,
in the mountain towns and Utah, Vail, etc.
I would love to. I mean, you don't have to twist my arm to go to Vail. My
Right?
choices are Vail. No offense, if my choices are Vail or Dayton, I'll take Vail.
That's what I
Only
told my
because
parents when I
it's
moved.
only an easy ride. It's an easy drive.
That's exactly what I told my mom and dad when I went to see you, Boulder. I was like, Dayton, Colorado. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. Well, Brant, you're amazing. Thank you so much. And where can everyone check you out? Where should they go?
You can just BrandtTobler.com, and I just Brandt Tobler on Instagram and all social media. And I'm doing shows all around. I'm in town for a month,
Oh, right on.
so I'm headlining Comedy Works downtown on Sunday, and hopefully I'll get up to the mountains. I was talking to someone yesterday. It's weird that how this world works. So I think I'm working on a couple shows up in the mountain town. So
Oh,
hopefully I'll be up there, and you guys can come see me.
I'm so into it. Definitely. Keep us posted.
Awesome, I will.
Thank you so much, Brant.
Thank you so much for having me. I'll see you soon.
Yes, you will. And keep it right here. We have more of the show to come. So it is April Fool's Day. Happy April 1st to you. And it is also Reading for Fun Day. So we got to sit down and speak with the author of Etta Extraordinaire. Such a cute book. Let's check it out.
Now, I'm excited about our next guest, the brand new children's book, Etta Extraordinaire. It is such an exciting book. I've got the authors joining me today, Rhoda Ahmed and Sharnae Gordon. Ladies, how are you?
Great. Thank you so much for having us.
I'm loving
We
the
are
Bella.
extraordinary.
I love the energy. It looks like you guys are having so much fun this morning. So talk to me about Etta Extraordinaire. It was published today. So who would love to tell me a little bit about the premise of the book?
Go ahead, Rhoda, you want to go?
Yeah, so Etta Extraordinaire is this beautiful little girl who does everything ordinary and extraordinary way, just like our kids, our daughters. So our daughters love dress up. They love leaving the house with boas and feathers and bracelets and gloves, and they were just larger than life. We used to say our daughter lived in her own Broadway show growing up, but we never found a book where the character looked like them. So that's kind of how me and Sharnae bonded, that we wanted to create a character-driven book. And then we're mindful of the times we're living in right now. That is heavy times for being a kid. And we just wanted to create something that gives a little light and love on every page.
I love that. You know, as a child myself, I used to create and dream and do all of the fun Broadway plays and things that would entertain my family. Now, Sharnae, tell me a bit about the collaboration. So how did the two of you meet, and what made you decide to collaborate on this delightful new children's book?
Yes, absolutely. So Rhoda and I actually met on social media, on Instagram specifically, and we had both been following each other for years. I was a huge fan of her picture book, May Among the Stars, but I also knew that Rhoda has her own publishing company, High Tree Publishing, and I had this idea for a picture book, and I shared it with her, and then we decided to create our own fictional character. We decided to name her Etta Extraordinaire, and as Rhoda said, we bonded over our daughters who loved to play dress up when they were younger. And that's really how the story came together.
I love this story. Now, Rhoda, tell me, you mentioned your daughters. Both of you have mentioned your daughters at this point. But how did they collaborate? Did they give you influence and ideas? Did they tell you what they liked as you went through the creative process?
Yeah, I mean, really, my daughter is in college now, so I was telling that she's in a different life space now that we were creating it. She was like, Mom, whatever you want to do. And then I would pull all the pictures as inspiration, while Charnay's daughter was very, very helpful. And she's like, no, yes. I don't like the stocking. The tutu dress should be a different color. Like, she was I would say, our A&R, our PR, our creative director. So she really was, there was so much love from her creating this. So I really appreciated that.
Absolutely. Now,
yeah, when we got the illustration, the cover illustrations from the illustrator who did the amazing illustrations in the book, she presented us with a few different cover ideas. And my daughter, she actually chose the cover for the book.
Oh, that's so exciting. So she's very invested in this process as well. It's a gorgeous book cover, by the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I was digging around and it looks like there are some fun activity resource guides. So how did you decide to make this book a little bit more interactive other than just reading it and seeing the beautiful pictures?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are activity sheets that can go along with the book. There's fun stickers, but also we just wanted to make this a joyful experience for all of the readers who read the book. And that the book is really centered around joy. And that's really kind of how we came up with that.
Absolutely. Well, the two of you emulate joy in just the conversation that we're having now. Now, Rhoda, tell us, where can we go for more information? What do you hope that fans get out of this book as well?
Oh, great question, Kimberly. I hope that, we are in a time where everyone's wondering like what we can do, how we can contribute, and we are of service to kids and storytelling. So I hope that people and parents and children still love books and read, but that sacred little moment when you're in bed and you have your kid and your arm around your kid, and it's a silent moment of just reading and connecting, and it might seem like an ordinary moment, but it's an extraordinary one they're going to remember forever. So our hope is that just do what you can with the love you have. And you can find Etta Extraordinaire anywhere books are sold. Support your local bookstore. We love local bookstores. But yeah, that's our hope. Our hope is just adding more joy and light and love to the world right now.
Well, it's an excellent book, and I'm so excited to see how it impacts future generations and adults alike, because I was watching the trailer. It's just a beautiful story. Thank you, ladies, so much for bringing some additional joy to the world. We really appreciate you both.
Thank you, Kimberly.
What a fun day, April Fool's Day. Now remember, when you do those April Fool's Day jokes, keep it good, keep it fun. It was so great to see Brandt Tobler, talk to him, a really awesome comedian, as well as learn all about Etta Extraordinaire, the book. It was so fun to read for Reading for Fun Day today on April 1st. We will see you next weekend. Have a great weekend out there. Have some fun.